Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, everybody. This your brother, Mr. Holipsism. I'm sorry. I was running late, had some technical difficulties, but I straightened them out, and I'm with you now. I'm waiting for my co-host to join. Apologies to him. Peace to Big Brother R. Here he is.
I've been here for a minute.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, you weren't the only one. I sat in here. I came in at 11:30, then got knocked off, bro.
You've been in here since 11:30?
Oh yeah, I came in. Sometimes, like when
Wow.
I'm free, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. That's how I do for work, man. Everybody be shocked. I'd be like, no. When I'm scheduled, if I'm scheduled to be somewhere at 4, I'll try to get an hour early.
Oh, cool. Do you
Yeah,
want to
they
handle the intro for me, like what the show topic is, and just go into it? Because I gotta do something before I get with you. If you can handle that
uh
for me.
yeah, sure. How long you want me to go?
Maybe like 5 minutes, if even probably less than that.
Okay. How do you want me to
Just
kick it off?
let them know what the show topic is and what we're going to discuss, and you can even give your views about what you think about it. I'll be listening in, but I just got to do something.
Sure.
Okay,
I can do
go
that.
for it.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, everybody. This your brother Deontay Ford with your other brother, Mr. Holipsism. Today, we're talking about our show topic. It is how Donald Trump and MAGA humiliated Kamala Harris and the DNC, and how it's time for the Democratic Party to reflect on their losses and failure. So, uh, starting off, I think the Democratic Party has completely lost its way over the last decade. I do feel that um, their sabotage of Bernie Sanders, their complete endorsement and unpopular candidates like Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris really has damaged this party's look to working class people, and especially since they've abandoned working class people, they basically have left them to the wolves. But if I may, I'm going to take a step back a little bit more and try to get into the history of how we actually got here, and I think it starts with Barack Obama. Uh, in 2008, Barack Obama was elected to aid working class people, to put us at the forefront of economic policy. He was brought in to, and what he should have done is brought charges and imprisonments to the people who brought the financial crisis of the 2005 financial crisis. We elected him to end all these wars that were going on in the Middle East. He didn't do any of it. He completely dropped the ball. And through the reign of Barack Obama, the opportunity, I should say, when he first was running, is that if you look at the way that the moved as far as political and economics, Barack Obama really had a chance to do something special to start a new movement or a cultural shift to a left or a centrist left, I want to say, viewpoint of all the things the Democrats are supposed to be running on, as far as healthcare, education, certain culture issues. There was a real chance under Barack Obama to actually literally have a wave, a new wave movement of everything that people on the left say they stand for, with healthcare and education and certain economic views that Barack Obama and the Democrats, especially when they were controlling the House and the Senate, really were in good position to really push, and they dropped the ball on it so badly, to the point that now everybody, most Americans have either decided that they're not going to participate in the elections or they're going to vote for a phony strongman like Donald Trump. Barack Obama got into power. He turned 2 wars into 7. He didn't do anything for the working class. He continued Bush policies. He didn't do anything anybody ever asked him to do. So I think instead of having a blue left centrist wave, economic viewpoints that they have, and the views on healthcare, that they could have gotten, Barack Obama completely dropped the ball on that, and that's 150% his fault. So it's really, and truth be told, we could have a new centrist leftist kind of culture shift, but instead it's far to the right. You could have had an Obama or even a Bernie Sanders kind of thing, because before they sabotaged this movement, they could have had a Bernie Sanders kind of revolution, kind of wave, a new, maybe a new political party or a new political wave that they could have done. They didn't do any of it. Instead, it's the era of Trump. It could have been the era of Obama. It could have been in the era of um, Bernie Sanders, but instead now it's the era of Trump. And it's a lot of that stems from the absolute failure of Barack Obama. Barack Obama's failure and the things he didn't do that he previously ran on, similar to that of Joe Biden, uh, is how we got here. And I'm not sure, and honestly, when I look at the fallout, because this was a blowout for Donald Trump. It was a blowout win for him. I can't really say for certain, it's having me, I can't say for certain if this whole thing was more so about race. I'm not going to say that race obviously didn't play a factor, but the fact that a lot of Hispanics and Latinos voted, a lot of people of color voted, them showed that you can't really pin this whole thing down to just one issue or the other, because Kamala Harris was pretty much an establishment corporate Democrat. Like, she was not very popular. She wasn't very talented. I think that had a bigger role to do with it. I can't say if it was totally about race, although again, I'm pretty sure that race played a role. But I think a lot of it is that Kamala Harris was just a very unpopular candidate. Her record as an AG is probably what doomed her. She wasn't that effective as a vice president. She really didn't do very much. Under scrutiny and under criticism, she would laugh in front of the camera. She was just not very genuine, or if she is genuine, then she just wasn't a very good candidate. Most people, even to the most fringy of far leftist females that you can, if you could point them out, they just didn't like Kamala Harris. These exit polls really show. It's very enforced. And again, and then you have to go, but really you have to go, which also brings up another issue, which is a bigger issue. It's like, who were the Dems really grooming to really try to beat Donald Trump? Like, why didn't they pick a candidate like a Bernie Sanders who ran on those same platforms of eliminating student debt, which is something everybody wants, healthcare, which is what everybody wants, education that wasn't going to give us bankruptcy, put us in debt, which is what everybody wants, and ran on those platforms. They didn't do any of that. There was no real opposition to Donald Trump, which is why most people, either half the country, either stayed at home or voted for Donald Trump, which is what they did. So, this great leftist experiment has pretty much been a failure.
Yeah, I heard everything you said, and I agree with you. I have some thoughts.
Go ahead.
And I agree with what you were saying about the Barack Obama part, but I'm going to pick another specific point which I think was very important that got us to where we are now. And I made this analogy on the when we were talking yesterday on the Discord.
Right.
If you look at this giant thing as a chess match, when you have two chess players and they're playing each other, all it takes is one blunder on the half of one chess player, and the game is pretty much over, even though the game hasn't officially ended. And what I mean by that is, let's say the blunder is so bad that you can have the game go on maybe like, 15 minutes to a half an hour, or even longer before the actual checkmate happens. But because of that move that the player made at that time, that's what sent, everything into the eventual end game, which was the loss. So if you look at it from that perspective, what was the blunder that the DNC made in 2016? Now, I personally don't think it's a blunder, but for the sake of an argument, we'll say 2016 was the blunder. Because in 2016, the Democrats had a candidate who would have beaten Donald Trump. Every poll, every interview, everything that we know about that candidate, which was Bernie Sanders at the time.
Yeah.
He was what Donald Trump is pretending to be. Donald Trump is a fake populist, and Bernie Sanders is a real populist.
Right.
I think, me personally, that was the blunder that led to the checkmate in 2024. Because I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, we won in 2020." Yeah, so what? That's like and when you make a blunder in a chess match, you may lose one of your major pieces the next couple of moves. It doesn't matter because you've already won the game. All it's a question of is how many moves it's going to take before you get a checkmate. So the Democrats winning in 2020 was a battle. They took maybe a bishop, a rook. They might have even taken a queen in 2020. But at the end of the day, because of the blunder that they made, they ended up losing the game. Now, in 2020, I think Joe Biden, and you could correct me on this, if Deontay, didn't he have about 81 million votes?
Yes, that is accurate.
Mm-hmm. So in 2024, you would figure since this guy is, a fascist and a racist and a felon and any other negative connotation you can come up with, you would think that people would have been pouring to the polls in 2024, right?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Well, guess what? There was 11 million less voters in 2024 than there were in 2020, approximately. As of this live stream, it might have gone up or down, but around that 11 million. Am I right?
That's right.
I told Deontay that I'm going to look at this from a nationalist perspective.
Right.
And I'm also going to look at it from an American perspective, but a Black American perspective. And then I'm going to look at it from just an American citizen perspective. Now, from a nationalist perspective, our sister Carr said that this is all about white supremacy, and she's 100% correct.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there was a lot said with this vote for Trump. And basically it was this whole diversity and inclusion shit. Nah, we don't want that. We want to run on a platform of the white man got this. And it was basically a rejection of all of this diversity and inclusion and blah, blah, blah. And just, we want to keep this country the way that we want it to be, which is white. 100% correct on that. So from a nationalist perspective, also, we're more concerned about building up and concentrating on making Liberia great again. We're not really concentrating on making America great again. So from a nationalist perspective, we've got our eyes on the prize somewhere else outside of this country. So it's not as devastating to us as it is to people who have all of their eggs in one basket in America. Because there's a lot of Black folks that feel like, oh, this is the end. We going back to slavery, all of this, hyper rhetoric. When really, we're like, okay, this really doesn't really matter to us, because if Kamala had become president or Trump had become president, it really wasn't going to do anything in terms of our nationalist perspective.
Right. It
Am I right
was
about
because
that?
absolutely.
Okay. So when you say it's about white supremacy, yes, that's from a nationalist perspective. Now, from a Black American perspective, it becomes a little bit challenging
Different.
because if we're going to stay here, which party are we going to vote for if there's no opposition to the Republicans? Because
Yeah,
to
and
me,
that's what
it's
I
just a
said.
given. It's just a given that the Republicans aren't really going to do shit for anybody. Period. You know what I'm saying? That's the only policy position that I know the Republicans were really strong against was abortion and tax cuts.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
there's anything else, please let me know in the chat. Like they don't really have any political positions to help out everyday working people. They really don't.
No,
So,
they don't.
and it's a party of fucking the party of racists that
Corporations.
led to this victory in the first place. It's the rejection of everybody else that ain't white. And
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
their loyalty is not to the Constitution of the United States, it's to Donald Trump. He has become their Lord and Savior. And so they'll cope for him no matter what. This guy,
Yeah.
Donald Trump, can, like he said, he can shoot somebody in the front of Macy's and they'll still vote for him. He can stand next to and be best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and they'll still vote for him. He can call Puerto Rico. He didn't call it, but he can have people on his stage that can call Puerto Rico a garbage dump.
Yeah.
It
And he
means
still win the
nothing.
election.
It means nothing. Now, a lot of people's analysis have said that, oh, wait, let me send. Oh, I'm sorry, R. I was so busy rambling. I didn't see what you asked for. I'm going to text it to you because I can't do the email right now.
I know Vic was supposed to be here, but I'm waiting on him. I don't know what's up with that. The Woo was supposed to be a surprise. I guess he got busy.
As a matter of fact, well, I'm not going to post a link in the chat yet because I want to get this off my chest, and then afterwards we can get into it. But I sent you the link by text, Big Brother R. Now what was I saying? What was I just getting ready to say? What was the last thing I said?
You said that they'll after Donald Trump could shoot somebody in the middle of the street and they'll still vote for him.
Right. So a lot of people's analysis have said, well, policy doesn't matter. Well, yeah, now in this election it doesn't matter, but it mattered in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So when they didn't make the right move in 2016 and they blundered and picked a candidate, because if they had picked Bernie Sanders, we wouldn't even be talking about Donald Trump right now.
No, he would be done. Honestly, I think they should have. Honestly, bro, I'm gonna say something controversial. I think the Democrats should have just tanked it in 2020 when he ran again.
Let him be president again?
Yeah, because we wouldn't be dealing with him now. He'd be done.
That wouldn't have happened.
No, he would have been done. He would have been out of there.
Oh no, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is they would have never allowed that to happen. Right? They don't think like that.
I know. I'm just saying that's just from a strategic
right.
point. Yeah.
Right. Had he wanted, but then who knows what would have happened as a result of that. So, but from a Black American, oh, that's what it was. From a Black American perspective, it's rough because since people don't want to put Africa on the table and they just want to deal with America, then from an African American perspective, since the Democrats aren't really an opposition party to the Republicans, they're just Republican lights.
Right.
And I know y'all think I'm being funny, but I think basically your options are to just bend the knee. Like, what else are you going to do? You already got on the back of Donald Trump and said that, the white man got this. So it's basically a form of bending the knee. So you're not really going to, I'm going to bring you in a little bit, Raw. Just let me get through this. You're not really going to oppose the Republicans or anything that they're doing and come up with any policies that's going to help you out here in America. What are you going to do? You're going to vote for the Green Party? Green Party's not really going to win. But those I guess those 11, let's say those 11 million voters that went to the Green Party, what difference would it have made in the election? None, right?
Right. None. They didn't
It
do
would have
anything.
got the Green Party a lot of votes, which is good.
Yeah.
But what would it have done at the end of the day?
And what are their
So
policy positions?
from a Black American perspective, you're basically screwed in this country because you refuse to vote as a block. If you voted as a consistent block, then you can basically make deals with either the Republicans or the Democrats that whoever gives me the most, whoever gives us the most, will put our vote behind you. But we don't even know who the hell we are. We're not African. We're Black. We're Native American. We're Chickasaw. We're everything. We're Hebrew Israelites. We're everything under the sun
We're
except
space
a group of
aliens.
people who vote as a block and vote with the same interests. So I don't really know what to do for you as a Black American who is tied to this country and thinks that a political candidate is going to do something for you. You're basically screwed. Now, lastly, is just an American citizen. My suggestion is this, and this is black, white, green, and in between. My suggestion is this. You can take it if you want to.
Yeah.
You have got to make the Democratic Party an opposition party. Basically, you better tell them all of Bernie Sanders' policies are back on the table. And if you don't vote for us, we're going to congratulate President J.D. Vance. That's it. No more half measures, no more incrementalism. You either do something for the working class in this country, or you will never get our vote again. And because if you guys don't do it, the Democrats are going to play the same game on you that they play every election cycle. Don't vote for the fascists. Don't vote for the racists. Don't vote for the misogyny. Vote for us. You won't get anything out of it, but at least that guy won't get into office. Let's see. How did that work in 2024? And on that note, let me bring in my brother. Big brother R.
Yo, what is up, my brother? How you doing, Holla?
We are
No,
honored.
don't be honored. Don't be honored by the presence. Like I said, by my presence, because I'm a tool that's not too sharp in the shed. Okay, so don't give me that much brain.
Yourself under a bus already, bro.
And brother Deontay, how you doing, brother?
Hey man, I've been meaning to we've been meaning to touch bases with you for a brick, but yeah, I'm doing okay.
All right,
it's tough
brother,
out here, but I'm hanging in.
I got you. Can you hear me still? Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, because I was gonna add on to your point there, Whole. I think a bigger issue too with these Dems is that they're so corporate that a lot of this stuff that they talk about, these things involving trans and gay and what is a woman, these things that they're trying to put on a national, spotlight are things that are very, very unpopular amongst most of the people here, and they're meaningless. And I think that also is what's hurting them. I'll just say that in short.
No problem.
Okay.
We're gonna let Big Brother R spit his hot 16.
Yeah. Yeah. I got some stuff I gotta get off my chest, man.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I will. You mentioned 2016. I gotta blame that no good. Oh my God, I hate this guy with a passion. That guy, Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn is specifically, to me, the reason why Bernie Sanders did not get that nomination.
You're right.
Because what he was, and Bernie had it. He had it in the bag. But then Jim Clyburn opened his fat black mouth, okay, and said, "Oh, throw your support behind Joe Biden." And all of a sudden, and Biden wasn't even in the conversation at the time at all. It was all Bernie. That was it. You know what I'm saying? But Clyburn swayed that black vote, and of course we went along with it, and henceforth, you know what happened after that. You know what I'm saying? So I blame him, me specifically, to tell you honestly. And I can't stand that guy.
You're not wrong.
You had said something before, and it always stuck with me in regards to voting. If you vote, should you not vote for the candidate that has your best interest at hand?
Right.
You should. Neither one of these people do. I tell you right now, I didn't vote at all. And there's people that get upset about that. Listen, I'm not gonna do the whole the lesser of two evils thing. No, that's not gonna work for me. That's not gonna work for me because nothing's gonna get done. The Democrats, as you like to call them, the Washington Generals, which they are, they're a bunch of fools, and they constantly disrespect their constituents, their voters, constantly. But yet we go for it time and time and time again, and nothing gets done. Nothing.
Mhm.
I would never, ever support the Democratic Party ever for the amount of time I have left on this earth. You know what I'm saying? Because they are horrible. All they do is talk, talk, talk to get your vote, but there's no action behind their words. None.
I want to let you. Are you basically done with your rant? Because I have some questions for you. That's the reason. I don't want to interrupt you.
Pretty much, y'all. I'm done with the rant for now. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, this is really important because you represent a part of that 11 million that just said, you know what, F this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're not Trump supporters.
No.
They really, it seems to me that they do like the Bernie Sanders type policies, but they said, you know, well, since the Democrats ain't giving me that, I'm just sitting this one out. So you represent that. So this question, these questions I'm about to ask you is very important.
Okay.
So people can understand my point and my analysis. Let me ask you, big brother, did you not vote because of racism?
What? No, I did not.
Did you not vote because of white supremacy?
No, I did not.
Did you not vote because of misogyny?
No.
Did you not vote because of fascism?
No, absolutely not.
In short, could you just reiterate why that's one of those 11 million people didn't participate in the political process in 2024?
Because neither candidate had my best interest at hand.
Thank you. So all of these people with their dog shit analysis.
Yeah.
So there's people talking about, oh, well, we need to get somebody more Trumpian as a Democratic Party.
God.
We need to hire some celebrities.
Oh,
I've heard some of the dumbest fucking analysis, the most brain dead analysis that I've heard, but nobody is really. And then Bernie Sanders put out a statement basically saying what we're saying now. Exactly. You guys abandoned the working class, so the working class abandoned you.
That's right. That's
and then
100%.
Some idiot. Wait, let me see if I can go to the quote that this idiot that I responded to on Twitter. I don't even know who this guy is. I think Jabari knows who he is.
Okay. This is going to be good.
But let me see what his name is. Oh, Jamie Harrison.
Okay.
Jamie Harrison said this in response to Bernie Sanders. This is straight up BS. Biden was the most pro-worker president of my lifetime. Saved union pensions, created millions of good-paying jobs, and even marched in a picket line. And some of the MVP's plans would have fundamentally transformed the quality of life and closed the racial wealth gap for working people across this country. From the child tax credits to $25K for a down payment for a house to Medicare covering the cost of senior health in their homes, there are a lot of post-election takes, and this ain't a good one. That's what he said.
You got to be kidding me.
Jamie Harrison said that. And you know what I said? Well, I said a couple of things. The last thing I posted, I said, every Bernie Sanders policy position is back on the table, or after Trump, you get President J.D. Vance and a perpetual Republican supermajority. You and the DNC have been warned. Your donors are the working class. The choice is yours.
Nice.
That's what I told him. That was one of the things that I told him.
Checkmate.
The other thing that I told him was the policy positions that Bernie Sanders was pushing, which was single payer healthcare system. You can call it Medicare for all or however you want to brand it. It's a single payer healthcare system. That's what it is. A living wage tied to inflation and the cost of living, which means that that living wage will be different in each state because it depends on the state that you're in.
Okay. Mhm.
But that needs to happen right now. This 725 bullshit is an embarrassment.
Really?
Embarrassment.
Yes, sir.
Elimination of student debt.
Mm-hmm.
Something that Joe Biden kind of halfway toyed with, but then never really came to full fruition for most people. I know people personally that said that they would vote for any candidate if they was pushing elimination of student debt because it's crippling a lot of people.
Yeah.
Crippling a lot of people. Notice all of these policy positions work out best for the working class, not so much the rich.
Right.
Because in my opinion, who gives a fuck about the rich? The rich got theirs.
Exactly.
There's people in this country who don't, and they're the ones that need the tax cuts. Which gets to my last point: tax cuts for the working class, incentives for the working class. Why is it that people who can participate in the economy in a productive way don't get discounts on transportation or gas or anything?
Mm-hmm.
When they go to these restaurants and get lunch, how come they're not getting any discounts, any incentives? But the people that give nothing to the system get all of the discounts, all of the incentives, all of the subsidies.
Yep.
The Democratic Party has to show unapologetically that it's for the working class, and the only way that's going to happen is if the voters do what they did this election: refuse to vote for them. They don't give a fuck if the house burns down. They're not going to vote for you. If you're not going to be an opposition party, you have no right. You're not entitled to a vote.
And I think the word that you hit the word on the head: entitled. That's the thinking. You hit it right on the head with that.
And that's my take. Now, if anybody else has anything they want to say, let me put the link in the chat. You can come in and spit your 16 bars. But I think that's what I just suggested right there. Is it covered three points. It covered the Black nationalist perspective, which is what I represent. It covered the Black American perspective, which I'm here. I'm living here as a Black American in America.
Right.
And it covers the Democratic voter in America. That includes everybody.
Crazy.
So my analysis is, if you want to talk about who to blame, don't blame. Well, there's a case to blame white women, but we won't get into that. Don't blame Black people. Don't blame Hispanic people and Latinos. Don't blame anybody. Don't call the electorate stupid, because that's an easily dismissive thing to just say, that they're just stupid and they don't know any better. That's easy. It's easy to say that, but it takes a lot more nuance to look at this thing. And like I said, if you look at it as a chess match, the Democrats made their blunder in 2016 when they picked the candidate who could have beat Donald Trump, and instead picked a candidate that they felt it was her time. She was entitled to be president. And you see how that worked out for you.
Right.
This man, you calling him a misogynist, but he whipped two women's asses. So I guess y'all guys support misogyny. Because you damn sure didn't support the women. Which just goes to show you, people ain't picking people based on this stupid shit. They're not picking. They didn't want to pick Hillary Clinton because she wasn't a woman. They didn't want to pick Hillary Clinton because she was a garbage candidate.
Yeah.
You think that Kamala Harris didn't get into office because she's a woman, or she didn't get into office because she represented nothing to people? People saw her as an empty suit.
Yeah.
Now, whose fault is that? Is that the voters' fault? Or is that the DNC? Put it on the shoulders where it belongs, or in the lap of the Democratic Party. They don't want to win. They don't want to win. They are the Washington Generals. They are only here to make the Republicans look good.
And they're doing a good job. They're doing a good job.
And it's important that you guys understand, they are not trying to win, because why should you? If you're a Democratic think tank, right? And Beyonce is giving you millions, Taylor Swift is giving you millions, Cardi B is giving you millions, corporations are giving you millions. You got all of these people. They outraised Donald Trump by a huge margin in this election. They got all of this money, and this money don't come back. It's not like you give it back if you lose. So the all of these Democratic think tanks and the bright guys at the top of the Democratic Party, guess what? They're all paid.
Word.
You think they're sitting up here disgusted and sad because Donald Trump got into office? Or are they going to the bank? That's what it is. It's like, no, if you're going to give people money for losing, and they're going to do the same thing again, when it rolls around again, they're going to have these same Democratic think tanks coming up with the same people who lost twice to Trump are going to go to these celebrities and go to these corporations and ask for money and serve. And you know, if they do happen to get into office, all they're going to do is serve the interests of the donors who gave them the money.
That's it.
They're not going to serve the interests of the working class. So you have no opposition party. There is none. It does not exist. And that's why 11 million people stayed home. They didn't stay home for any other reason other than the fact that they didn't feel represented. And that's a fact.
And I want to add on, to this too, because this is something I meant to touch on the last time when we spoke on it. You know, I really do like the whole thing that these corporate Dems try to throw at working class people that they live in, that their neighborhoods, you know, they basically they put in our simplest terms that we live in broken down neighborhoods because our communities are filled with racism. And it's like, no. So I'm guessing when Bill Clinton was signing international contract offers with these foreign countries that what do you call it? De-industrialized the country, that took jobs out of the country. I'm guessing that didn't play a role. You're telling me I live in the hood because I used to live in the hood because my neighborhood was filled with racism. So now, is that really a hill you want to die on? Because it's been happening for over a decade. So, you know, it's real. I love how they throw that around. Like all this stuff about, like I said earlier, all this stuff, these unpopular topics that they're centering around on the corporate news. Trans, gays, racism, things that nobody really care about. The average American is worried about income and supporting their families.
Yeah, we need money.
Yeah,
the working class needs money.
Exactly.
Fuck all that other bullshit. Put the money in our pockets, and we can determine how we want to spend it. But right now, it's none of this. None of these issues that these people think is important matters. What matters is putting money into the pockets of the working class so that we're not the suckers of this country who just pay for shit and get nothing in return. Now, if the working class still wants to play this Democratic game, then you get what you get. President J.D. Vance. Forget about Trump. What's going to come after Trump? Anyway, our brother is in the house. I want to say what's up to our brother, Dawood Muhammad, if he can talk.
Yes, sir. Peace. How y'all doing?
Peace, brother. Peace.
Peace, big brother. Oh, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, brother. How you doing, man?
Oh, why am I not hearing him and everybody else is? Hold on. Go ahead. Continue. I'll get it straight.
Because I isolated you. Now, let me stop.
Everything good, brother?
Everything's fantastic, bro.
Yeah, I hear you. It's good to hear your voice, of course. You know?
Likewise. In the crazy football season and crazy basketball season, but other than that, everything is cool.
I hear you now, bro. I hear you.
Okay.
Word. So go ahead, continue what y'all was talking about.
Well, I want you to spit your hot 16 on what you feel about this.
Hold on a second. Let me get inside.
Okay.
Had to go get my headphones. So me myself, I think that the average man and woman go through stages in their life as far as with their income, other stuff. And when you're younger and you're broke, it's much easier for you to latch on to social justice issues like not necessarily racism, but trans rights, gay rights. Yeah, all of that stuff, right? It's very easy for you to attach yourself to that. But once you get older, and especially as a man, you really start making money, none of that shit really matters per se to more so than your legacy and your quality of life. And so what I saw a lot during the 3, 4, 5 months or whatever that she was actually running, being Kamala, was it was a lot of promises that sounded outrageous. Like, we're gonna put caps on rent control, or excuse me, or amount of rent that you got to pay and stuff like that. And see, me myself, I do believe that there should be affordable housing and things like that. But at the same time, as a person that's gonna own homes eventually, I don't think I like caps on rent. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, so you're telling me that I got to charge a certain amount of money, and you're going to cap that by law, which means that if I get some kind of scumbag to come through, and they want to pay $1,000, and your cap is $1,000, I got to abide by that. That doesn't sound right to me. And so I think that as I heard you saying, how when I first got on here, working class people want money. That's exactly the reason why I believe most of the now, mind you, the crazy thing about it is that it's some 80% of black men voted for her, and like 90% of black women voted for her. So that's a pretty decent turnout, if you ask me. And she still lost. You know what I'm saying? But why did only 80% of men vote for her and not 90 or 95 or whatever? And I think it's because a lot of men who are making money understand that this is really not about us. This is really about y'all pushing it, social justice agendas, and you're not really trying to put forth financial agendas. And like you said, if you give us the money, we can decide what cause that we want to fight for. But if we ain't got no money, we broke and we fighting for causes. And once you get to 40 and 50, you don't want to do that no more. At least I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, once I turned 38, I believe, that's when my kind of 24-hour activism, i.e. the Nation of Islam, started to lessen, and me getting after the bag started to increase. And the more the bag increased, the happier I was. And then I found out, damn, you mean to tell me all these years I've been chasing my tail because people were telling me that this is not possible, and that's not possible, and this not possible. And now that I'm getting after it, I could have been doing this shit years ago. So you start to become angry as a person in the social justice world because you were fed a whole bunch of different things that you could not do. But then you get old and you find out you could have did all of this shit years ago. So I just think that, honestly, if I'm looking at it from a point of view of certain men and really certain women who finally getting after it in their life, that social justice, that shit doesn't mean nothing to you no more. It really doesn't. That's kind of like my long-winded introductory answer. Does that make sense though, y'all? Do y'all understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I get what you're trying to say. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you in your 20s, I thank God that there was no internet when I was out there every single day, screaming Final Call or Muhammad Speaks on the corner or whatever. Once I got older, I had moved up and I become a minister, so I didn't have to be out there like that no more. And you know what I'm saying? But once social media, like, you got TikToks and things like that, like, I just can imagine what would have happened if I was doing all the stuff I was doing in my older age. But at the same time, it just didn't matter to me like that anymore. I'm not saying that whatever it is that they're saying is not a legitimate cause. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that to make that your top agenda and then ignore people's quality of life, that shit is crazy to me.
Yeah, because and I've said this before, they do it because the Democratic Party has basically become corporate status quo. Because when you think about the demographic that Kamala won, she lost people who were making 30,000 to 50,000. She lost the people who made 50,000 to 100,000. But guess what? Two groups of people she won the majority of vote: people who make over 100,000 and people who make over 200,000. So basically, what people have seen is that, like Holland said, the Democratic Party has basically become wealthy establishment corporate people who are getting paid. Right. And so they don't feel the need to have to give anybody economic policy because who are they appealing to? These older baby boomers who are making well-off money. And it's like, I understand if you are a wealthy boomer, you're comfortable with the Kamala. But for somebody like me who is in his 20s, knowing rent takes a lot of our younger people's income, sometimes up to half people's income. When you have student loan debt, ain't no young people, ain't nobody care about. Listen, a lot of young people do care about LGBTQ issues and abortion, but the number one issue is the economy for the average person by a wide margin.
Yes, sir.
Cool. We love that. We love the fact that you're for social issues, but what you gonna do for me economically? Because I don't care that I'm having the status quo black woman edition, because I'm getting the same thing what I did with the white man. Tell me what you're going to do economically for me. That's all I care about. If that ain't it, ain't nobody gonna show up for you.
Yo, hold up.
Yo.
Yeah, this is Thomas. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh shit! What up, Thomas?
Yo, what's the deal, God?
How you?
I'm good. I was just I wanted to give kind of a post-mortem on this thing. So, one of the things
you got the floor.
one of the things, I do, my delivery business, I do like a lot of like deliveries for like motor parts, because it's a really healthy business. And so like I get a chance to go throughout the entire like, Charlotte metro region and some rural areas. I can tell you this: when Donald Trump came to the Mint Hill area, there was 15,000 people. He literally clogged up 2 different interstates and back roads. And when I went to all these businesses, all you saw was Trump vans. Now, one of the things, and North Carolina is a very purple state, right? Because North Carolina is a unique southern state, because the people in North Carolina are vastly different than Georgia and South Carolina. These people are fairly educated in North Carolina because of you got NC State, you got Duke, you got UNC, top tier schools. All 3 of those schools are considered like top 20 or top 50 schools. So the overall area is they're fairly very educated, and they actually voted for Trump, but they denied the right-leaning Lieutenant Governor Robinson, who had the weird stuff. So they went Democratic for the governor and went for Trump for the presidency. Now, there's some very interesting things that happened during this election. Because there's a saying in economics and politics called demographics is destiny. So one of the think tanks that actually tends to be fairly accurate on like their data is Pew Research, right? So Pew Research is one of the largest one. They're the most probably well funded, but the data is the data. So there's only 35 million eligible, just about 35 million eligible black voters in the United States, right? And then when you do that cross section, only 47% of those are men. But now here's where it gets interesting. We only are in basically 50% of us are in 8 states, right? So the 8 states that we're in is Texas,
Hello?
I think we lost him, son.
Yeah.
Thomas, you still there, good brother?
I thought
can you hear me?
Yeah, there
went
you
out.
go.
Okay.
You said Texas, and then after that, you went out.
Okay, so Texas, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, New York, Maryland, California. No, Maryland. Both states. We're talking about actual states.
The DMV.
Right.
Yeah, DMV,
okay.
baby. So, like I said, that means about 8.2 million of us are in the states. So one of the problems is if you spread, so the other half are in the other 42 states and territories, right? So it means we don't make a difference demographically because the rest of the population is so sparsely, laid out there. We can't really make a difference. So, for instance, the states that I mentioned, right? 4 of those are pretty much reliably Republican, and North Carolina is kind of a purple state. So we didn't really have a shot from a standpoint of making a difference. Now, here's the difference with Hispanics. Hispanics are spread out to areas like Arizona, Colorado. They're a more powerful bloc, primarily because they're Catholic. They don't believe in reproductive rights. The average Catholic Hispanic is going to have at least 3 to 4 kids.
Right.
Right. So their strategy, without even knowing, is they came in, they decided they're going to overrun this motherfucker. They was like, you know what? We're going to fuck our way to supremacy because they're going to be the new majority. I'm dead seriously. That's exactly what's happening.
Word. I've heard that. I heard that in the nation years ago, like in the early '80s, son.
Yeah,
years ago.
The only other group who's similar are continental Africans when they come in because they see children as wealth, and plus there's resources here. So once they get ties here, they can find a way to get some resources. Whereas in Africa, you ain't getting the kind of resources you're going to get here. But the bottom line is that where this is not relevant. The only thing that you can do, and this is the takeaways, one, economic development. I don't agree with Thomas Sowell, but he talks about human capital development, right? Get away from these bullshit liberal arts degrees where you're taking finger painting and fucking how to cadoodle, and get into like the hard sciences and STEM, and become an investor class like what the Asians do. Asians actually outperform white people in this economy. But what do Asians do? They typically go into finance and STEM, or they're into medical field.
Right.
So, and what they do, and I'm gonna tell you something. When I was in the mortgage business, the Indians, right? What they would do is they would get their money, and they don't. And see, this other thing, they don't rely on luxury goods to make them feel good. That's it. They don't spend money on luxury items. But for instance, they'd rather take that money, and they would take, say, for instance, 5 to 10% of their money and send it back over to India. You know why? Because India has such a large population. Their real estate was getting 10% year-over-year compounded annual growth rates. So, because exactly, so they got 1.3 billion people over there. So there's always a shortage of something. And so, and they have I'm saying there's always a shortage.
Right.
Housing, whatever. I mean, you see the conditions. And so there's always room for growth there because there's a constraint on resources. But the bottom line is we really didn't have a shot because we're not demographically relevant enough. So when they tried to, so that's why even like Joy Reid, she had to come out and say, you can't blame it on black men because that 80% clip, like 77% voted for Kamala Harris, which is about in line with what they've done. It is high, of course, with like Clinton and Obama. But the bottom line is that, we're just not economically relevant to really make a difference, whereas like the Hispanics are becoming even more so. One of the things also is that Hispanics, if there's like interviews, I want to say from a couple years back, when you interview Hispanics on why they support Republicans, it's because and this is out of their own mouths, they see the Republican Party as winners, kind of like what Hope alluded to of the Democrats being the Washington Generals. They're the fucking globetrotters, fucking bouncing the ball off your fucking knee and putting that shit through your legs and pulling your shorts down, doing an and look for you and shit. And that's what the fuck it is. Like, they see them as winners, whereas we are seen as the losers of society. So they try to be closer to whiteness because they see the benefits. And what white people will do is pat them on the head and say, hey, you're a good man. Can you?
Yeah.
You're a good Hispanic. They pat them on the head. You're a good Hispanic. You're not like them.
Right. I'd like to veggie back on what you're saying as far as with the 80% and why it wasn't 90%. A little known reason. And that is that, and I've been saying this for a long time, the generation above those of us who are here, they use shaming to get you to do shit. Everything was about shaming. It's about humiliation. If you went to the church, they would shame you into believing in Jesus. If you went to the temple, they would shame you into following the laws, rules, and regulations in Islam. Everything was about shaming and humiliation. Even the most humble, most spiritual people from that generation still use some kind of fucking shaming. And so when they thought that they were going to lose, what did they revert to? They revert to trying to shame black men. Oh, you guys don't want to see a woman become president, this, that, and the next thing. And shaming us is like telling us, giving us a big middle finger. Because most of us I mean, most of us, everybody on this line, we're all black nationalists, so we don't really give a shit about American politics anyway. But the dudes that I know that do actually vote and all that other stuff, once they started seeing the shaming, they was like, well, fuck that, I'm voting for Trump. And I was like, why? They was like, because they're not going to tell me what to do. That's a bad tactic, bro.
Yeah.
That's a very bad tactic.
Agreed.
That's what I said. I said when Obama did what he did with shaming black men into trying to vote for Kamala, that was the end.
Did anybody not get a chance to spit their hot 16?
Hey.
Vic, did you get a
Yeah,
shot?
nothing, man.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you spit it because we're not gonna stay on here too long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want to give Vic a chance to give his take on this shit. Go ahead for it. So the floor is yours, bro.
Okay, remember when you said the blunder was 2016? I'll go back a little further. 2009, when Obama sent this DNC chair packing Howard Dean. Remember the 50-state strategy? They just abandoned it and decided. And Obama's like, "Whoa, I got it now. I'm good. I'm gonna make sure I get reelected." And everybody else, tough cookie. And then the blunder after that was putting all their chips in with Hillary.
2016.
Yeah, those were the blunders right there. But with the Howard Dean, he was building the party, putting young energy in all that, and they just decided.
No way, you breaking up.
Me?
Yeah, somebody needs to mute.
Something is in the background.
Yeah. No, somebody's dealing with something. It sounds like they're counting up receipts or something like that.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too.
I'm like, yo, if you're counting up with some receipts, make sure I get my cut.
Everybody, put your mics on mute. Put your mics on mute. Or I can do it for you. Let me see who it is. That's Thomas.
Oh man.
Go ahead, man.
And then after they sent them packing, the only guy who had the sense to fight back, you notice he was just kept losing races. They kept losing seats. And they were losing on purpose. Not just losing seats on purpose. And so we get what we got right now. And now they want to cry and, oh man, people are racist. Shut up. And what you said about the shaming, I was like, hold on, isn't that the dude that went to Flint? Let me get a glass of water. Man, if you
Yeah, and speaking of shaming, why didn't they shame white women?
That would have been awesome.
If you want to point the finger of blame at somebody, statistically you can point it at them. But I noticed nobody's saying a word about it.
Nah, for real though. For real. And it's like, I don't know. Do you know that my son shared this with me? Do you know that these young chickens are now online talking about they're not gonna give us no pussy for the next 4 years?
Yo.
Yeah, right.
Yo, I heard.
Wait,
What?
Yo,
I didn't hear that.
The chicks that make their living at OnlyFans is gonna tell us that they not fucking. I bet you that promise was broken today.
Jeez.
You know, and the thing is,
I wish that they had that.
There's two things on that. So
I really wish they did.
There's two things on that. I'm going to briefly, but two things is about that. First things first is obviously, we're seeing rampant misogyny. But
I heard Jabari. He said his stuff. Who else hasn't spoken?
Bro, you can't hear us? Jabari was speaking.
No, I heard him. I heard him.
No,
he was speaking now.
I wanted to continue talking about just briefly about that. So yeah, a lot of them were talking about that movement. What?
Oh man, I hear him.
I'm about to say they hear me.
There's something up with your mic, son.
Yeah, I know. Hold on.
Go ahead, bro. What you're saying is important. Go ahead, say it again.
So because I used to think the same thing. I'm like, okay, I understand why women are doing the 4B movement, but it wasn't until I got more information from women who were actually in Korea that it sort of changed my mind a little bit about the 4B movement. So a lot of women are talking about the 4B movement like it's a good thing. but there were a lot of Korean women that are going on air and telling people, they're like, listen, we understand about y'all dealing with sexism and misogyny and all of that. But what Korean women were telling us is that, one, the 4B movement is a very fringe movement in Korea. And number two, the 4B movement is very transphobic and very homophobic. So they're telling y'all, you feminists, is the 4B movement is not what y'all think it is. So they're asking a lot of these women who are on TikTok or on social media, please stop using the 4B movement because it's not what y'all think it is. Like they're thinking it's just, oh, we're having abstinence, when women in Korea, where this originated from, say it's a very fringe movement and it's very homophobic and transphobic. So
Yep.
You know,
that's what they do though. They jump on anything that's flying as if they're waiting on the corner. It's like, oh shit, let me attach myself to this. And then they're going, you know how we used to do back in the day, y'all who are in your 40s or 50s, when we used to wait for the bus to go by and we would jump on the back of that bad boy and ride it? This is what a lot of these young feminists do. They just wait for the bus to go by, jump on it, not realizing, like how many of these young chicks was on social media saying very demure for like 90 or 120 days, not even knowing what the hell that meant.
Exactly.
Very
You know what I'm
demure,
saying?
very mindful.
Yep.
Yeah.
How's it
Get
going?
the fuck out of here.
I just want to see how long this is going to last, because if y'all not going to give us sex for 4 years because we didn't vote. Hello?
Their population is already declining.
And that's for, and to be honest, briefly, because I'm about to get off and just say my last thing. My thing is that black men and black women, we did our things. I don't understand why that's being taken out on black men. That's a white woman, white man thing. Because the gap between black men and black women in terms of our voting patterns was way smaller compared to Latino men and Latino women, Asian men, Asian women, and then white men and white women. But for some odd reason, we're acting like we are just at war with each other when black men and black women voted basically the same number. Briefly, dude, to bring to your point about the 80%, that gap, the gap between black men and black women, I could say really comes from the age of 65, because every age from 18 to 29, 30 to 45, 45 to 64, it was all 80, 83%. It isn't until you get over the age of 65 that it goes to 93% and then 6%. So we pretty much voted in lockstep with each other. So I don't understand why we going ham on each other when we are the most progressive group when it comes to women's rights and just for women in general. So that's all I got to say, and I'm going to leave the floor to the others. And peace, y'all.
Thanks for the facts and data, bro.
I was very
Thanks for the facts and data.
All right.
But it's the fact that we didn't vote. 100% of black men didn't vote for the cop.
Right.
Right.
So people are upset, and now 304s online are going to pretend like they wasn't giving pussy to anybody but Chaz, Tyrones, and Pookies anyway. But regular smuggler dudes gonna have to worry that they're not gonna get any pussy,
whatever,
from a chick that wasn't giving them pussy in the first place.
Exactly.
I can tell you this much. The election was last week, and ain't nothing to slow down yet.
You know what's wild? Trump got elected, and I woke up and the world wasn't on fire.
Hey, can I get something in here quick?
Sure, good brother. Sure.
Yeah. Well, good afternoon, Mr. Harbison and the rest of the BIO crew. Just wanted to say here is this is finally good. We did not put Kamala in there because that was just a joke. It was like a lot of pandering, a lot of dancing around, getting 45,000 black men on one call with Roland Martin. That is just not giving me one policy that's going to pay my rent, that's going to pay my college tuition. Nothing going towards my car insurance. Where's all that talk? I didn't hear absolutely nothing from that pathetic Harris team. Nothing. And you know, it's I'm laughing at it because there's nobody can get anything done from that the way things project in life. So if these black men want to talk, oh, I'm not gonna F for 4 years, you sound like a low class retard. That this is the real gutter. I'm sorry, but that was gutter trash. Cardi B, that Megan Thee Stallion, the lying sack of shit.
You didn't like the Magic City show?
Yo, let me add to what you're saying, young brother. If y'all couldn't stop the violence in Chicago, how the fuck y'all gonna stop it now?
Right.
Because remember that they were supposed to not give no pussy in Chicago until the violence stopped? How long did that last?
2 seconds.
It's crazy. It's like, if you, anyway, don't get me started on the withholding of sex thing in general. Don't get me started on that. You know what I'm saying? But just the fact that you will make public threats because of an election, I have never seen that before. That's like a new low embarrassment.
Because we sound dumber. We're getting dumber and dumber every year. So the education is getting dumb. So and the news that we're fed in propaganda with social media. And then I see fools like Charlton White, oh, I'm draining the swamp. You just realized that Susan Wales is just brought back. She's connected to the biggest pharmaceutical company. And that's draining the swamp for the chief of staff? No, that's enabling it. And then JD Vance has connections to Peter Thiel that owns Rumble, owns many surveillance stuff along with he bought his seat, and he's connected to Elon Musk's network. So you telling me that's drain the swamp? You ain't draining no swamp. You ain't draining no swamp. All you're doing is just you filling it up just like you did. You said you were against those mandates. You weren't against it. You weren't against it.
Anybody else want to spit their 5 bars before we end the show?
Yeah, you know what? Let me just say this real quick, if you don't mind. Yo, just like you said, the title of this show is how Trump and MAGA, basically handled Kamala. No, I don't necessarily agree with that. What I'll say is this: is that the Democrats did it to themselves. They did it to themselves.
I agree.
They did it to themselves.
Here's how I see it, right? You had this empty suit of a woman who wanted to be a carbon copy of Trump. I know there are a bunch of these liberals who will deny that, but she literally wants to be just like him. And voters are looking at it like, why do we want this wannabe who wants to be a fake Trump where we can have the real one instead? Well, that's the first reason. And two, going back to the whole shame thing, people, like y'all pointed out, people often shamed us into voting Democrat. Their biggest mistake is that they were trying to shame Arab American voters into voting for them, as their family members were being blown to pieces overseas by the government that's funded by this current administration. And instead of voting for Kamala, a lot of them either voted for Trump or stayed the hell home as a response.
Yep.
The thing to stay at home at all. Don't vote.
Right. And just thinking about the aftermath, you have all these black women saying, "Oh, fuck all these Latinos. I hope they get deported," and they're also saying, "Fuck all these Palestinians. They're about to all get killed." Listen, I'm about to go back to Starbucks, and here's the thing, right? People are not. Yeah. Starbucks is funding Israel. That's true, but the main reason why people were boycotting Starbucks, it wasn't even because of Palestine. It was because Starbucks was union busting.
Okay.
I mean, that was what I wanted to add.
Okay.
All right. So with that, guys, we'll close out.
Okay.
We're having some technical difficulties on Holup's side, so we're all gonna have to disconnect.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
hoping to hear y'all from y'all in the Discord tonight, especially the good brother Minister DeWoo, because it's been a while since I heard your voice until today. So with that, we'll all go ahead and close out.
Great
And
show.
everybody
Great show, guys.
have a
Great
good day.
show.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah, thank you guys for letting me
Love
on
y'all.
here.
All
No
right.
problem.
Love
I
y'all.
guess I'll
Miss
see y'all later
y'all. Talk
tonight.
to y'all later.
Yep. Peace out.
Bye.